There comes a moment when you just stop, not because you're lazy, but because your body is just done. It's refusing to play pretend anymore. That moment hit me when I was sitting in my car just off a local walking trail, and I'll never forget it. I was in my car idling in the parking lot. It was hot in Texas, and I had my air blasting. And it was the kind of hot that you know something's wrong. Your body just doesn't feel right. I was sitting in my car for 26 minutes in the middle of the day in a parking lot, engine running, hands frozen on the wheel, and I could not make myself put the car back into drive and head back to my office. I wasn't crying, I wasn't spiraling. It was just that I couldn't do one more thing. I was numb after all of the emotional overwhelm and working in a toxic and hostile environment and field. And that's when I realized this wasn't tired. This wasn't exhaustion or exhaustion fatigue. This was something else entirely. I was done. I was done. And not the dramatic burnout people talk about on LinkedIn posts and social media. This was the slow burn. It's what I will be teaching you about, math-based kind of burnout. This is where your nervous system finally just hits zero and then goes into a deficit, and then the lights go out. If this is a description of the kind of burnout you may have experienced or you may be right in the middle of right now, then I invite you to stick around because this is your episode. Are you ready? Let's go.
I'm Dr. Charlie Hornis, highly anxious people pleaser turned master certified professional life coach. Learning to manage my brain was so life-changing for me that I got certified so that I could teach these incredible evidence-based practices to you. Are you ready for massive change? Let's go.
The most dangerous myth women are sold, especially high capacity women and high achievers, is that burnout is somehow personal, that it means you're too emotional, too sensitive, too dramatic, not disciplined enough, not managing your time right. Nope. And I probably say all of this once a week to you, that you're told these things are your fault. Nope. Burnout is not something you can just change. It's not a mood. It's a formula. Your brain, especially the prefrontal cortex, which acts like the CEO of your nervous system, your brain can only carry what it has the fuel to lift. And here's what most people don't even know. They don't even understand. The fuel, it's not infinite. It burns every single time you make a decision under pressure, you manage somebody else's emotional needs and wants. But before we get started, just a quick reminder, this episode is brought to you by BetterHelp. Mental Health Awareness Month is upon us. It's May. We're so excited that BetterHelp is sponsoring some of our episodes this spring. And if you've been looking for online support and you're ready to give online therapy a try, you can run over to my partner link at betterhelp.com/art of and get 10% off your first month just by giving therapy a try and using my partner link. You're performing like you're feeling totally stable when inside you're feeling cracked and starting to break. You're tiptoeing around tension to keep the peace. You're overthinking a boundary. You're just too afraid to set, or you're swallowing your own discomfort to stay likable, to stay non-threatening, to stay agreeable. And sometimes that's just the easier road, the easier path. I get that. Each of these isn't just a stressor. It's a withdrawal from your neurological banking account. And because you've been conditioned to override your body's warnings, you just keep pushing through until you can't. This is what I call the threshold transgression. This is the moment your body hits its neurological limit, just like me in the parking lot. But your social training says, keep going. You have to keep going. Keep smiling. Smile through it. Everything will be okay. Just get through the thing. don't create a problem. Your system does something ridiculously brilliant. It flips the breaker. You're not lazy, you're not weak, you're not broken, you are neurologically overdrawn. Your body has gone into energy conservation mode. It's like trying to carry 10 grocery bags with one arm numb. It's not that you won't keep trying, it's that your system physiologically can't do one more thing. It cannot pick up one more bag. It's done. And here's what's so dangerous. The women who experience this are usually the most capable ones in the room. That's right. The planners, the fixers, the achievers, the ones who hold it all together, seemingly. You've taught the world to lean on you. But what no one ever taught you is how to recognize when you're out of capacity before collapse. That's the capacity lie. That burnout is about your emotions, that you are just incapable of regulating your emotions. No. Burnout is what happens when your output has exceeded your internal reserves for too long. You can do that sometimes, and it's okay. You can do that during seasons. I talk a lot about neurological and physiological seasons. If we're loving something, we go all in if it's like our go time. But then we have to take rests and we have to rejuvenate and we have to refill those internal reserves. So if we've been doing this where our output is exceeding our internal reserves for too long, your nervous system decides to save you. And here's what no one tells high functioning people. Burnout is not random. Burnout is forecastable. Yes, there's a forecast, like a storm that builds slowly offshore, quietly gathering pressure, where all of the perfect elements come together and then it hits land. And if you've ever thought, I didn't see this coming, this is not your fault. You were not trained to notice the signs. You were trained to override them. I know, almost everything I talk about is entirely counterintuitive. You were not trained to notice the signs of this burnout, this slow building burnout. You were trained to override them, to ignore them. In my doctorate work, I build what I call the S.T.O.R.M framework to name the actual phases of this predictable collapse. And I teach high functioning people just like you how to stop blaming yourself for the weather. My S.T.O.R.M framework breaks up burnout into 5 parts, 5 stages. So I'm just going to run you through them really quickly. And I have lots of resources on my website, charliehorniscoaching.com. And if you go to /store, I have all kinds of stuff there to help you unpack all of what I'm talking about today. It's an acronym for S.T.O.R.M. So S equals shared visibility. You're not invisible. You show up clear, direct, grounded, and then somebody calls you cold or unemotional or tells you to smile more. You start to advocate for yourself, and then you get labeled as difficult. People project their discomfort, especially with female authority, back onto the female. Then they just tell you to get over it, to adjust. That's just how things are. T, trajectory obscured. All right, let me unpack that. This is where the path ahead goes fuzzy. You can't predict the reactions in the room anymore. You start walking on eggshells. You get good at reading tone shifts, micro expressions, subtle power plays, microaggressions, but you never feel sure-footed. You never know when you're going to hit the hidden landmine. You always feel like you're just a few seconds behind a safe place. O is for ocean heat content. Now, this one's really important, and we'll stay on this one just for a little bit. This is the slow build of burnout. This is the internal pressure, the invisible stress no one sees because you just seem to have it all together. You can handle the unsolicited criticism. You can handle the ugly, tones that people are talking to you in or the dismisses. You can handle it. You're tough, right? Of course you are. You're being praised for being calm under pressure, for doing it all, for never breaking under this kind of stress. But inside, you are slowly cracking and you're simmering quietly, relentlessly, like heat building deep in the ocean that no one measures until it's that heat that starts to fuel the hurricane. So there's this layer of deep heat a storm needs in order to gain traction. It's the fuel and it simmers. R is for reversed override. You've been rewarded for pushing through constantly. So you've learned to keep doing it. And now your system does it automatically. You can ignore hunger, skip lunch, delay rest, suppress tears, let that, dude get by with the comment and not set the boundary because you convince yourself, well, it's just this one time and, I don't want to come across as difficult. You do all of these things until your body stops believing you're going to take care of it, that you are going to protect it. This is where your brain starts burning cortisol like currency, and depletion becomes your baseline. That leads us into M, misdirected debris. This is what I call the coconut in the face. When the storm finally hits, the system turns it directly on you. You are the problem, the too much, the unreliable one. No one sees the years of silent overfunctioning. Nobody identifies the systemic dysfunction within the institution or the system. They only see your crash. That's storm. That's the pattern. And once you name it, you can stop internalizing it as a personal flaw. This is not a personal flaw. If you have all 5 pieces of this framework coming together, it is a catalyst for a perfect storm. And I am very happy to unpack more of this with you through some of my resources. So again, you can grab those at charliehornetscoaching.com/store. And you've got to start interrupting this, like the system design that it is. All right, let's reverse engineer this for a hot second. You've got 10 things on your plate, not optional things, not frivolous things, important things with real consequences. People depending on you, commitments, deadlines, it all feels necessary. So your nervous system defaults to, I cannot drop any of it. It is all seemingly that urgent. But what if that thought is the first glitch in this burnout equation? Because here's the quiet truth that we're not teaching high functioning people out there, especially the younger women. Not everything on your plate is for you to carry. Some of it was handed to you by guilt. Some of it was handed to you by fear. Some of it by systems that taught you that exhaustion equals excellence. And because your brain wires itself based on repetition, you started carrying all of it like it was survival. But burnout doesn't start with your calendar. It doesn't start with a fancy new app. It starts with your capacity getting overridden so many times, your nervous system no longer trusts that you will protect it. That's how we get there. And your brain and your body no longer trust that you will protect it. And that's when your survival mechanism kicks in and you start to topple over that threshold. That's the threshold transgression into emotional dysregulation, cognitive dissonance. And that loss of trust between you, your brain, and your body, this is the inflection point. And this is the moment that we need to rebuild. That's what I'm here to help you with. So a sabbatical is not going to help this. A long bubble bath is not going to help this. I mean, all of those things are lovely, but it's not going to solve the problem ultimately. The real time rewiring through one decision at a time, repetition, and in a way that actually rebuilds neural pathways. That's the way to do this. One no that used to be a yes. One pause before the people pleasing. Just shouldering the discomfort of doing something that you know you should do to protect your space, set a boundary, say no, all of these things, but you typically wouldn't. Practicing some of those behaviors, one breath before that reflex to over deliver, to over explain, to make excuses for yourself. This is exactly the work that we will be doing inside the on-demand new masterclass, the Burnout Equation. This is not performative coaching. It's not productivity hacks. This is neurological trust restoration. And we will also be unpacking the 4 quadrants of survival instincts. And if you are interested in figuring out what yours is and get a free cheat sheet, then I have a quiz for you. charliehornisscoaching.com/quiz. Because if what you're hearing is hitting you in that, oh my gosh, this is me, yes, part of your body, then we need to make it practical. So start with my S.T.O.R.M quiz. You'll find out which nervous system survival instinct is running the show. Are you a lion, a deer, a fox, or an owl? You'll get this free cheat sheet, micro-strategy built for your specific rewire pattern. So take that quiz at charliehornisscoaching.com/quiz, and let's get you started on your burnout equation rewire. And if you're also nodding along because you know you're carrying what is not yours, the Burnout Equation Masterclass drops this month. So you can find out more at charliehornisscoaching.com/store. This isn't listen and feel inspired. This is learn and finally mind shift work. Listen, you don't need fixing. You just need a new framework. All right, friend, have a great week, and I'll see you next time.